The Peel District School Board has appointed a new interim education director amid scathing reports that the PDSB has failed to tackle widespread racism. Tonight, we speak with the woman who's been appointed to take over the board, hoping to fix broken relationships.
I think it starts with listening, with an open heart and an open mind.
Colleen Russell-Rawlins is a 29-year educator, most recently in the role of Associate Director with the Toronto District School Board, working in a number of capacities, including on equity and anti-racism initiatives. She replaces Peter Joshua, who was removed from the role of Director of Education late last month. She's taking over a board that in recent months has been investigated and found to be dysfunctional, lacking the will to tackle racism and failing to follow directives handed down by the minister.
I think we know what needs to be done in order to create a better future for our students. It's about whether or not we have the will as leaders and as educators to do it.
The education minister intervened following concerns of widespread Islamophobia, discrimination, racism, and in particular anti-Black and Indigenous racism at the Peel District School Board. Stephen Lecce launched reviews and asked for an investigation into the PDSB, and he warned the board to fix the issues after failing to follow his directives.
The directives provide a starting point for the work that needs to be done. I think that, coupled with really listening to young people and our families and our community members, as well as our staff, that will chart the way forward.
The minister appointed a supervisor to oversee the board. Today, Bruce Rodriguez said the community's voice is critical in changing the system. Quote, the Board of Trustees would see the community as key partners in the healing process as we move forward. And when his job is concluded and the board return to govern, he hopes they will continue with Colleen as the Director of Education.
It is my commitment to ensure that the changes are positive and that they don't leave whenever any staff, including myself, leave, that they make a long-term impact for families and for the community.
And this moment marks a historic moment for Ontario. For the first time ever, the province will have 3 Black women in the position of education director at 3 separate school boards. We already told you about Colleen Russell-Rawlins with Peel. Then there's Carleen Jackson in Toronto and Camille Williams-Taylor with the Ottawa-Carleton District. All 3 are also the first Black women in these roles at their school boards, representing a combined 457,000 students. A shakeup at the Peel District School Board with the appointment of a new interim director of education who will be tasked with what many say is a broken relationship with the community. This comes following scathing reports of widespread racism in the school board.
She's coming into a system that needs to be overhauled.
Idris Arugu, a parent and community activist, says the appointment of Colleen Russell-Rawlins as the interim director of education is welcoming news, a meaningful step in the right direction. However, he's still got concerns.
You cannot undo the damage. You cannot undo with 2 or 3 changes the damages that have accumulated over years.
A recent provincial investigation found that the Peel District School Board has failed to address widespread racism and hasn't followed directives put forward by the Minister of Education, who threatened to intervene, most recently also appointing a supervisor to oversee the board.
We're thankful that the Minister Lecce is making some meaningful improvement. However, the issues with the system is so rampant and is so hurtful that I don't know if the current direction will fix it.
Colleen Russell-Rawlins, who has nearly 3 decades of experience, most recently occupying roles with the TDSB, is taking over as interim director of education next month, inheriting a role that will require her to intervene and mend broken relationships.
I think I have the experience from working in the Toronto District School Board to be able to support the Peel community as we move forward. I intend to listen carefully to what staff and communities and students have to say about their aspirations for the future.
Idris wants a change in the Education Act and legislation that will prevent issues like this from reoccurring. He's hopeful that Colleen brings a wealth of experience. One of the first calls to action, removing police officers from schools.
It was a program that had perhaps meaningful intent, but what is at turn to right now, it's not helping, it's hurting, and it is a byproduct of the zero tolerance policy.
Russell-Rawlins says she is aware of concerns around police officers in schools, adding that this is of real importance to her.
I look forward to meeting the chief and having conversations about the program in schools and learning more, and we will address it as appropriate.
And she says Minister Lecce's directives will be the starting point to turn things around.
That will chart the way forward for us. We can build a better future together. And that I'm here to listen, and I believe that their ideas hold value, and that I see all of the community members and that they matter.
And this moment marks a historic moment for Ontario. For the first time ever, the province will have 3 Black women in the position of Education Director at 3 separate school boards. I told you about Colleen Russell-Rawlins with Peel. There's also Carleen Jackson in Toronto and Camille Williams-Taylor with the Ottawa-Carleton District. All 3 are also the first Black women in these roles at the school boards, representing 457,000 students. By the way, Russell-Rawlins will also be part of the plan of bringing students back to school amidst COVID-19 concerns. At Queen's Park, I'm Faiza Amin for City News.